so off we go, getting in the car, buckling our seatbelts for Realtors and Cars, not drinking coffee. We've actually had some good feedback on our little car driving series.
Really?
We've got a number of emails from folks watching it. And
well, I have so much information to offer.
yes, yes, you just are a fountain of, you're just ebullient with information, just putting it out there. So we've started this series to talk about different topics in real estate, kind of do a deep dive. We were doing these in the studio, and it was kind of fun to get out and about and drive around a little bit. So we're going to take a drive over to the Baker Mansion area, and you're going to put a sale pending sign up. So these are important realtor tasks. Oh, you know what I didn't do today? I probably didn't finalize the ad. Oh, that's probably going to screw something up, huh? I think they need that done by 3 o'clock. Oh, well, that's 3 o'clock, so I guess we're not going to have to worry about that too much then.
Whatever it says, it says.
And so, sale pending. So, we probably should catch up on that a little bit and talk about the fact that a sale pending sign is finally going up on a property that's had a contract on it for, what, about 3 or 4 weeks now? Do you think?
Yeah, when was the date? April 16th? Maybe before that.
And it might be time for a good update on that whole process. So we've talked a bit about this pending property situation we've done and how we're not marking properties as pending until they are actually the contract's really looking like it's going to close. So when you have contingencies, like in this case, yours had what on that contingencies?
It was inspection and mortgage.
Okay, so an inspection and a mortgage contingency. So I've had inspection contingencies. I've had plenty of deals come apart while it's under inspection contingency. I mean, generally speaking, for those that are not following this, if you have an inspection contingency on a house and you order an inspection, during the entire inspection contingency period, you really have the right to just say, I don't want the house. There's something I found in the inspection that I don't like, and I'm going to cancel the deal. And while the buyer is going to be out their inspection money, they should normally get their deposit back, right? So, and those inspection periods are generally 10 days, but you can extend them 15 days. Right now, it's a good idea to do that.
Right, they're so busy.
Inspectors are busy right now. They're, running around with their shoelaces untied, getting out the door, and doing lots of inspections. I've talked to inspectors. They're very busy right now. So give yourself a little bit of extra time during busy season. Check with the inspectors. And so I'm recommending 15 days. Not only do you have to have the inspections completed, but you have to have those the reply to inspections back to the seller so that they can reply and tell you whether they're going to repair things or going to tell you to pound sand.
And weekends count.
Every day counts.
Yeah, I think people don't realize that.
Days that end in Y is what I like to say, right? They all count. And the one little caveat to that is the inspection contingency period starts the day after the contract is signed. So the day of the contract doesn't count. So if you're counting days, it's 10 days. So 10 days starts tomorrow.
Right.
Okay. So you get that out of the way and get that, so a lot of deals can fall apart on that inspection contingency. And then the next thing you got to clear is that mortgage to make sure you can get the mortgage. And I've had a number of deals, everything looks good, and then all of a sudden something pops up.
Right.
Good examples are, you had one, like somebody's employment, something happened with somebody's employment?
Their employment was going to be ending actually later in the year, possibly even it was the next year.
Right.
But their employer disclosed that the company was closing, even though that was public knowledge.
Yeah.
So the bank wouldn't approve it because she wasn't going to have a job, and that was in the summer, and her job wasn't going to end until like spring of the next year.
Right. So there's a notion among the lenders that they want you to have.
They want you to be able to make your payment.
Yeah. Imagine the concept that, okay, so you've agreed to take a loan from them and pay them back for all this money, and they want to make sure you can continue to pay on it.
So it doesn't work. When I worked at the bank, I seriously had people think that because they had checks in their checkbook, they had money.
Oh. Okay.
Seriously.
Checks. Okay, so wait a minute. I can't be out of money. I still have checks.
I have tons of money then because I have tons
So
of
I got an NSF. I got a non-sufficient funds notice. How can that be possible? I still have checks left.
Seriously, that was it.
So I think back to, not to fault the school system, but I think probably a little personal finance course would be in order for a lot of folks.
I don't think that would hurt.
No. And actually, a lot of this stuff, we find ourselves educating people on these topics all the time because, folks just don't know. And so one of the things, and one of the reasons I started a mortgage company was to really have this symbiotic, basically complementary relationship between lending and real estate, so that we could, be kind of the explainer. And that actually, really to get off the path here, I had a buyer who they needed a loan, obviously, and they were using our company for the loan, and they had a question about the loan. So hold on, let me just ask the loan officer. He's sitting right here. I mean, that's a huge advantage, to be able to get somebody help right there. Just say, hold on, let me just ask the loan guy. So I want to talk about that situation too, because that was actually a really good example of our pending policy I'm going to get to. So the lending piece, the deal can fall apart at lending. So, we don't want to mark this property as pending. We want to keep soliciting offers and keep people coming after the property and showing it, unless the seller doesn't want to show it. In that case, we'll say
no. And it's really worked for me with a couple properties I had that I, just marked contingent offer accepted. People still have looked at both the property. I think I've done it to 3 total properties, but 2 I've had continue to show it. Had offers submitted as backups, and my sellers do love it. And they're both vacant properties, so it works really well.
That helps quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, I had a property that was, we had a sale and settlement contingency on, and we, as a rule, we've never marked those pending with the right to continue marketing. And so with that property, we had another offer come in that was, that was more acceptable to the seller, and as a result, we wound up knocking out that other offer. So, again, we're going to continue to show the properties and continue to sell them. And I'll tell you what, I've talked to a lot of our sellers about this. They couldn't be happier about this.
Yeah, they really like it.
They really, really like this idea. So this is really sticking. And so I got a little story about how this works in terms of helping customers as well. So I had a gal call yesterday interested in one of our properties that actually has not cleared financing. So it's gotten through the inspection contingency, but has not been through the financing. So we don't have a verified loan on this property, so it's no mortgage commitment yet. And she called and said, hey, I'm looking for a house, I want to take a look at this house. And I explained to her what we were doing, and she was disappointed. She's still interested, but disappointed that one was under contract. She said, well, this is what I'm looking for. And it gave me an opportunity to really have a chat with her and help her as a consumer, because she didn't have a pre-qualification from a lender recently, and she was really just calling whatever agent had the listing. So I said, look, this will sound really odd coming from the guy who has the house listed, but you shouldn't really, and I get realtors get mad when I say this, but you really, the person who has the house listed might know about the house, but they represent the seller. I said, so listen here, I represent the seller, not you. I said, so, you really are putting yourself in a situation where each time you call the listing agent for that property, you're talking to another agent, and you're really not getting help finding your house, right? You'll get some information on that particular house, but you're not getting overall help on in your process. So had a chat with her about that, and I said, where she was looking for a house, I said, here's the thing, houses in the area she's looking in, those houses, those things sell really fast, and she doesn't have a pre-qualification. So I said, oh geez, I said, you better get pre-qualified. I said, no obligation, but you ought to talk to one of our lenders. And so she did, and she got pre-qualified, and as luck would have it, a house came on the market while she was on the phone with the lender. Turn it in.
I turned up past Tiffany's.
Oh, okay. All right. So, as luck would have it, while she was on the phone with my loan originator, I'm looking at listings, and a house pops on the market that fits her criteria. And I said, now this is a perfect example. I said, if you didn't have a pre-qualification, I said, you'd have a hard time getting in here and getting, even if you got in there and looked at it without a pre-qualification, turn right here. I said, you're not going to get the house of your dreams. Right. I said, you could actually get beaten out by somebody else who is ready to buy. I said, because you're going to get in a bidding war.
It's like right in front of this car.
And that's going to be a problem. So we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be back in a second.
And I'm going to run in here real quick too, just real fast.
I'll pause this real quick. Okay, so we're back again. You're talking about your tulips.
My tulips. Everyone else's are so much bigger than mine.
Yeah, so they must have better tulip bulbs.
I guess.
Or something. This is a nice little area in here.
It is.
I like this area.
Nice. I do too.
Yeah.
If I were going to look at Altoona, which I'm not.
Okay. Don't diss Altoona. I'm from Altoona. So,
I just don't want to move.
You just don't want to move, period.
No.
Okay, so back to our, and actually I just got an email that was, while we took that little quick break for you to hang up the sale pending sign, I just got an email from an agent, and I'll explain that in a second too. So we're actually in the Baker Mansion area, also actually in the Liswen section of Altoona, the LLYSWEN section of Altoona. There's actually a train, that's actually a trolley station, you know that?
I wondered what it was.
That was a trolley station in Liswen.
Is it a house now?
It's actually a insurance office. So this is also known as Liswen. This was during the big railroad days for Altoona. This was like the big boulevard of Logan Boulevard. Is like the huge houses, all these Victorian
nice
houses. Yeah, really big, nice houses. And then this is that's Baker School up here on the left. This is the Baker Mansion area, which we'll take a ride by. But back to this pending thing. So you mark that one pending because it is in fact now through the mortgage contingency. Really, you're probably expecting that thing to be about a week away from a close,
it's
right?
Like 2 weeks away, yeah.
2 weeks away from a close. That's really what we'd expect. So, so there really shouldn't be anything at this point that would interfere with the closing, right?
Hopefully not.
Hopefully, although we did have a situation where somebody last week, 2 days before closing, just said, "Can I change my mind?" There's some really upset people when that happens.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So back to this whole pending policy thing. I know I don't want to sound like we're beating a drum here, but this is it's a big change because getting back to the lady that called me yesterday, I was able to talk to her about another house. We scheduled, actually showed her 2 houses last evening, and we wrote a contract on the house that had just popped onto the market really before anybody else had much of a chance to even see it. Because she had a pre-approval and she had a real estate agent who was willing to go the extra mile and show her houses at 7 o'clock at night on a moment's notice. Yeah, same day. So, and then I took them back to the office and we sat down and wrote the contract. I verbally communicated the contract to the other agent, and then we presented it. We actually went back and forth. We have a verbal agreement. We're just waiting for the ratified agreement today on that house. Isn't that amazing? So we got a track meet or something going on over here. And then,
today's West Central Coaches, a really big track meet.
We're going to we're just drive in here and see what we can catch. This is the Baker Mansion, so we're going to actually just drive right in to Baker Mansion and do a drive-by.
I forgot that track meet today.
Yeah, it's a big track meet.
Cool. It's a very cool track meet for those who like track, yes. And it'll last till like 11 o'clock tonight.
Oh, really?
Hopefully they don't get any rain.
Well, that's a big deal.
Delay. Yeah, it is a big deal.
So this is Baker Mansion. So you'll probably catch us in the rearview mirror here, or behind us as we drive. We're going to just do a little ride by.
Good thing it's not like Halloween, because it would be scary.
Scary, and it's ghostly. So you should be able to catch that in the back, the camera. But very interesting. Wow, look at all the buses. But there's a ton of people here.
Like I said, they come from out of state to this track meet. It's actually a really cool track meet. Yeah.
So this is a big deal. What's it called again?
West Central Coaches.
Oh, all right. So
I could talk about track. You can talk about history.
So the Baker Mansion. So this whole area was really grew up around Baker Mansion because they had they had ovens or kilns or those types of things that actually did the furnaces. Ooh, scraping a little bit there. Where they actually did iron ore, took iron ore and made, I don't know if it's steel or if it's pig iron or what it was, but it was helped the industrialization of this area and helped as we became a railroad hub in this area as well. It's a nice area back in here.
Really nice
Baker
area.
Mansion. And so, okay, so back to our pending policy thing. So these folks were able to put an offer in. I think we've got an agreement. I talked to the agent. We got the right numbers, everything together. And I talked to the agent, and I said to the agent, I said, the seller's out of town. I said, can we make sure, I want to make sure we have a ratified agreement, we have a verbal. I said, I don't want to get mugged on this offer because they're out of town and you can't get it signed. And the agent said, as long as we have an agreement that they've agreed to it, we're set, you're good. So hopefully that means good things for my buyer. And so really what came of this, a side benefit to us as agents, is the property that was not really, I won't say it's not available, but it's already got a contract on it, actually wound up being a property that gave me the opportunity to speak to a consumer and help them understand the process better. Really. So how can you beat that?
You can't.
So on one hand, you're helping the seller sell their home and getting them the better deal, and you're getting them backup offers, and at the same time you're helping consumers. I wondered where that Front Street Pizza was. Front Street Deli was.
There.
I knew someone said it was back in here, but I had no idea exactly where it was.
Just went in there not that long ago.
It's been, but people said the Mansion Park Front Street Deli, and I just didn't know where that was. Well, look at that. Now we know. These people are dressed and got their blankets and stuff going there. It looks like they're definitely they're in for the long haul.
They know what's up.
This is a nice little drive down through here too. Nice area. And so good for everybody all the way around. So you've got consumer benefits. They have and the other piece is, and I explained to the consumer, the buyer, because you know that house sold, it was on the market for a price and it sold. That's advantageous for you because now you know that houses in that price point are selling.
Right.
I can't tell you what it sold for, but I can tell you that
it's a giant dog.
Oh my God, that's a big dog.
What kind of dog is that?
It should, maybe there should be like animal, or not animal control. What is it, like a bear trap or something? It
looks like a.
That's a Saint Bernard.
Saint Bernard, but are they that tall?
I don't know. That's a big Saint Bernard. Holy heck, that's a big dog. There's a lot of traffic today.
It's a track meet.
You think it's because of the track meet?
No, I don't. Well, some of it might be.
So to sum up, from that example, you got the seller benefits because more people are looking at their house and looking to get backups, and you've shown those houses and people are inquiring about them, which is good. The buyer benefits because the buyer sees, okay, these are houses that are selling, because if it goes pending, the buyer has no idea what was on the market, what was available. Right. It's gone. It's gone from view. They literally have no ability to see anything about that property. And I think that puts the buyer at a huge disadvantage in the market because they don't have access to all the information we have as realtors. So, and the buyer then becomes, we're talking to the buyer, and I think that's a huge benefit because we can actually educate the buyer about the process, let them know that this property could be available later, or, it's still available if they want to put a backup offer in. They could be first in line should it fall through.
Right.
So, all over, I think that equals a good deal for all parties concerned.
Seems to, yes.
So, I put a house, okay, so getting back to the house that was under contract with a sale and settlement contingency. So those houses, essentially the sale and settlement contingency means that house has a contract on it, but the buyer of that house has a house to sell that hasn't gone under contract yet. Sounds confusing, I know. So in that scenario, we had a new buyer who came in because we're still marketing the property. New buyer came in, made an offer. The seller said, I like that offer better, and they are allowed at that point to give notice to the first buyer and knock them out. Well,
we talked about sale and settlement contingency last week. So.
Right, so and that's why. Okay, so we knocked that deal out with a new better offer, and then I just got an email. The agent just inquired, said, I don't understand. So I just got a phone call. I'm going to guess it's from their original buyer, and this is the agent that had the offer that got knocked out. Said, I need to understand why this property. I'm being told this property is still active on the MLS, and the reason it's still active on the MLS is
because you marked it offer accepted with contingency.
Exactly, offer accepted with contingency. So we have an offer accepted. It has contingencies, so it's got a financing contingency, it's got an inspection contingency, and until it's out of those contingencies, we want to continue to market this property. We're advertising the paper, it's on the web, it's out there, and it's confusing, I know, to consumers because we've not done it customarily in this area that way before, so they're confused. The consumer's like, I don't understand, I got knocked out, but this house is still active. What in the heck's going on? So I'm sure they're not happy about that. So an explanation, I'm going to give a full explanation, not on my cell phone, but I'm going to sit down and give them a full explanation in an email that they can deliver to their buyer so that the buyer understands that, you know, if they want to, that buyer wants to make a backup, if their house all of a sudden got sold, they can make a backup offer and get in line. Because what's to say, I mean, let's face it, the house that we sold, it could not appraise, which would mess up the loan. The inspection could uncover something that nobody knows about. There could be all kinds of reasons. And until I get through the woods on that, you know, hey, I'm going to keep soliciting offers, right? So, but I understand from the agent standpoint, the message I got from the agent kind of, I don't know how to put it. It kind of looked a little. There's a vein. I could sense a frustration coming through the email, a vibe, perhaps. And I get that because I'm sure they're getting a phone call. It's like, why is this still active?
Well, people in general are very confused. I had to take a phone call from a loan officer earlier in the week about one of my houses that she's representing the buyer as far as the financing piece of it goes. But of course, it's active or still active and offer accepted with contingencies. And she said, well, what's to keep the seller from accepting another offer? And I said, they can't accept another offer. If they're under contract with your buyer, they cannot accept another offer when they're under contract with another buyer.
Not at all. And
the other agent didn't think of that. You know, everyone was concerned that my sellers could accept another offer. And
they can't.
They can.
The buyer has a valid, accepted agreement, and all we're doing is soliciting backup offers. So that means the backup offers will be submitted, but not accepted. So no one signs it. The seller doesn't sign that backup offer. They hang on to that and say, I've got a backup sitting here just in case the first deal falls through. Which again, I think we've talked about this, but it puts the, I don't say puts pressure on, but you know, if the buyer that's buying it it's currently under contract, and they, you know, something happens, they don't follow through and do all the things they should do, they can lose their position, and then they could be knocked out. As long as they do the things they're expected to do as part of the contract and they fulfill their obligations, they have no issues. They have no worries. And I've talked to a number of buyers that are in this situation currently with us. I've had an opportunity to speak with some of them, and they fully understand what's going on. They get it. They're like, oh, yeah, I mean, if something happens, you know, we don't like the inspection, we get that we could cancel the agreement, and that wouldn't, you know, we feel like the seller would be better off if they were still marketing it.
It really doesn't affect the buyer if they're, like you said, if they're doing everything they should do, and, you know, if they plan to follow through, and they're, you know, really doesn't have an effect on the buyer.
No, not at all. And they can't get knocked out. So even if somebody makes a significantly better offer, the seller can't say, oh, you know what, we just got a better offer, we're going to knock you out.
They can be mad all they want.
Yeah. They'd be like, wow, I wish I would have done this. And, you know, and think about it. If you know, the days of, you know, there's been, you know, along the way, I'm sure there's been situations where you put your house on the market and maybe you underpriced it, and the first buyer that came along, snap, you got a deal and you put it together and you put it under contract. You know, and then if you continued to do this, you'd actually know that more people are out there bidding up the property, which would be, you know, I guess it'd be kind of frustrating if you're the seller and you took the first offer that came along. But we avoid that by just, you know, if we know there's a lot of activity, it's like, look, we're going to hold these offers for a day or two to wait to see what comes in and let it be, you know, let people bid against each other. So it's really hard, I think, the way we do it, to underprice a property, because we're going to put them in a multiple offer situation pretty doggone quickly. Plus, the agent who lists your house isn't the one who's representing the buyer, so you don't have to worry about that whole shenanigan where, you know, the first buyer that comes along says, oh, the buyer, you know, they're willing to pay this much. Will you take that? And then, you know, maybe you could have done better.
I've not really had the opportunity where I've underpriced a property. It doesn't seem to be my issue.
No. And we have that constant frustration with, folks want to get more. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you live in the house and you've got your heart and soul in the house. You really want to get the most for it. I get that. But at the end of the day, the market values it. The buyer may not value it as much as you do for the things that you've done to it. So, just a thought. So that's a little bit about that whole pending property process. I mean, that's it's a good process. It's one that we picked up from other markets, and it's been met with really good success. One thing I tell the agents is, if you have a property that is really a good property and goes pending right away, it'd be a really good idea to. Someone's trying to race me.
You won.
Yeah, you win. So you can get to the Outback faster than me.
Or the next red light.
The next red light. Yeah. So so back, what was I talking about? I got distracted by the street racer.
I don't know.
Okay, so I don't know. We're talking about the whole pending policy.
I was paying attention, but
yeah, we just lost that whole thing. So back to any other topics that are coming up in real estate these days. What are some other things? How about inventory? Boy, I wish we could get some much more inventory. There's still a lot of folks that are sitting on their houses just waiting out. I don't know, price increase. I don't know. I mean, it seems like if you've got a good house to sell, and you want to price it right, you really can get that house sold right now. It'd be great to pull that off and get that done.
Everything's going very smoothly for me right now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Ah,
so.
Excellent. You can't beat that.
Just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, just waiting for everything to just come apart.
Yeah.
We should have a spectacular May. I mean, I'm waiting to see big things happen in May, because we've had a really, we got off to a little bit of a slow start with the weather and pending properties in March. But things are really roaring now.
I have 3 scheduled for May.
Yeah, I mean, we have one agent has 8, I think 8 scheduled for May.
I was pumped for my 3.
Yeah, I mean, and 3's great. Don't get me wrong.
Well,
I mean,
it's not 8.
Yeah, but we got a lot of stuff happening, because the market's really heated up to the point where people got their house in the market, buyers had some pent up demand, and we got a lot of deals done pretty quick. But we're not marking them pending, so we're going to have our days on market are going to suffer from that, which is going to be an issue at some point. But did you have a thought about that?
Yeah, my days on market, I was thinking about that with the one I just penned it, and the days on market was 66.
Yeah. Well,
still not.
But it would have been shorter had you marked it pending. But here's the thing: there's so many ways that you can manipulate the days on market as an agent. We've seen this over and over. I mean, if you let the property expire and you relist it as a new listing the next day, and some markets allow that, other markets don't allow that. But you can reset the days on market. You can reset the price changes. So I've seen a number of listings in the last week where they've expired and that they had dropped like many thousands, tens of thousands of dollars over the course of the listing. The listing expires, or listing gets withdrawn, and then it gets relisted as new, and the days on market get reset. And that just doesn't really paint an accurate picture of what's happening, or an accurate picture of the efficacy of the agent, or the effectiveness of that particular agent. That's just really manipulating the numbers. So anytime anyone brings up days on market, I'd be like, well, ours are higher because this is how we advocate for our sellers and make it happen.
Right.
And I don't think anybody's going to have an issue. Most people are more concerned that they're going to sell their house for their price and make sure that it keeps it sold than some arbitrary number that somebody's manipulating.
Right.
Right? Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. It's cash in your pocket, not some number on a spreadsheet.
Right.
Right? That's what you can see in real time. So I think we did pretty good on time. We got probably about 30 minutes in, which is what we try to do. And so we'll wrap this up for this week as we come back to Carrie, Wellington, Duncansville. And it looks like we got some folks messing around with locks. This has been an ongoing saga of locks at the office, so we'll just end this here, and we'll catch you next week on Realtors and Cars Not Drinking Coffee.